We have an update on the contract of a new AEW signing, and we look at how Hurricane Ian affected last night's episode of AEW Dynamite. But first, two free agents have arrived in AEW. Last night, AEW Dynamite would air from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, the home of ECW and the birthplace of Ring of Honor. The night would see two free agents arrive in AEW, firstly with Juice Robinson making his debut in the promotion, taking on AEW World Champion Jon Moxley, and were he to win, he'd earn a shot at the title later down the line. The build to the match would play up to the fact that Robinson is the only person to have defeated Moxley twice since he joined AEW, with those wins taking place in New Japan Pro Wrestling. Whilst it was first believed that Juice would be representing New Japan, he has since stated that he is a free agent with no allegiance, a possible sign that he could become all elite in the near future. With that said, he did recently tell Sports Illustrated that he signed a new contract extension until 2023, so perhaps the free agent thing is part of his character. Unfortunately for Juice, he wasn't able to walk away on top, with Moxley putting him away with a cross arm breaker for the submission victory. Later on in the main event of the show, another free agent would make his AEW debut, as former ROH World Champion Bandido would take on the current champion Chris Jericho for the belt. Unfortunately for the Masked Bandit, Jericho would find a way to win at all costs, making his first defense of his ROH belt after being crowned champion last week, after a win over Claudio Castagnoli at Dynamite Grand Slam. Jericho would then take to the mic to state that he plans to desecrate the legacy of Ring of Honor, with him planning on defeating every great ROH World Champion in history. He then specifically called out the American Dragon Bryan Danielson for a match on the October 12th episode of Dynamite, which will take place in Jericho's quote home country of Toronto. I'm not sure he meant that one. Whilst the Bryan vs Jericho match hasn't been made official just yet, we can expect an announcement in the coming hours or days. As for Bandido, he would impress on his AEW debut, with fans hoping that he is signed to a contract, and although this hasn't been announced just yet, he was seen lifting Tony Khan after the match, a sign that something could be in the works. But do you think AEW should sign Bandido and Juice Robinson? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. And next, a popular star has removed WWE from their Twitter handle. In May 2022, then WWE Women's Tag Team Champions Sasha Banks and Naomi would walk out on the company after a creative dispute with upper management. Since being stripped of their titles and ultimately being suspended, there has been conflicting reports on their current WWE contract status, with some noting that both women have now left the company. Either way, they have both been spotted chasing different career paths outside of wrestling, with their future in the sport uncertain. Well, in an update to the situation, Sasha Banks, real name Mercedes Varnado, has now removed WWE from her Twitter handle, another sign that she is done with the company. The handle used to read @SashaBanksWWE, but that was changed yesterday to @Mercedes Varnado. For what it's worth, her bio states Sasha Banks WWE and Koska Reeves The Mandalorian, although this could just be a list of her prior roles, with her also no longer being active in the Star Wars series. Whilst it is believed that the new Triple H regime in WWE are planning to bring Sasha and Naomi back, with a return reportedly in the works, this remains to be seen, with the latest move only throwing a spanner in the works. This is of course all speculation at this point, but let me know what you think. Does the Twitter name change mean anything for Banks' future in wrestling? Let me know in the comments down below. Next up is a former champion returning to WWE. Over the past few years, WCW legend Goldberg has made sporadic appearances in WWE on a part-time basis, with him often featuring in matches for the company's top championship belts. With that said, it's now been 7 months since his last appearance, with him most recently losing to Roman Reigns at the Elimination Chamber event in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia in February 2022. Appearing on WWE The Bump last night, Goldberg would discuss his current status with WWE, revealing that he doesn't have any matches left on his deal, but he'd like to give Reigns a receipt for their last encounter, and he would say, "Well, I don't have any matches left on my contract, but I know one way we could take care of him. I do need to give him a little receipt for that little chokeout in Saudi Arabia." The former Universal Champion would then go on to thank his fans for their support in recent years, before stating that his days are numbered. But he's not done just yet, and he would add, "My days aren't done yet. My days may be numbered, but my days are not over with yet. I've got a monstrous garage and a gym being built that will be done in about a month. And if you think I'm not going to be living in there the rest of my life preparing for what's next, you're crazy." Whilst Goldberg does have a WWE contract, he is only obliged to make a small number of dates, usually at the company's biggest events, although he has no obligated matches left. With that said, he could still be called into action, although it remains to be seen if the new WWE head of creative Triple H sees any value in one last Goldberg match. But do you think we'll see Bill Goldberg again in a WWE ring, or was his loss to Roman a good endpoint? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. And next, Shawn Michaels has discussed the future of NXT. Since the restructuring at the top of WWE following the retirement of Vince McMahon, Shawn Michaels has found himself at the head of the company's developmental structure, something he discussed this week with the My San Antonio publication. In the interview, Michaels would be asked about WWE's current recruitment strategy, with the previous regime reportedly ending the signing of independent wrestlers. Shawn would confirm that they will be reaching out to both talent on the independents and beyond, with him saying, "We are still reaching out to other people with experience that have wrestled on the independent scene or been out in Japan or in other companies. That is something NXT will continue to do in the future. Nothing is off the table. We simply want to continue to find people that are just as passionate about the WWE product as we are." Shawn would then discuss his relationship with WWE head of creative Triple H versus his prior relationship with Vince McMahon, with him feeling his ideologies are more in line with Hunter, and he would say, "Hunter trusts me quite a bit, and I have sort of a great deal of freedom to do what I think is the best thing for NXT and our talent here. I can't speak ill of Vince or any of the other people. They've all been good to me over the years, and I always try to give them everything I can, so that isn't going to change." Hunter and I's thought process is certainly more in line, so I don't find myself having to ask him a lot of questions, or if this or that is okay to do, or what do you think of this. He has given me a great deal of freedom down here, which I appreciate. The good thing is we are best friends and we are going to talk all the time. 9 times out of 10, we are on the same page. Michaels would then clarify his recent position in WWE, stating that he has been a vice president for around a year and a half, before his recent promotion to senior vice president of talent development creative. He added that he will lead both NXT and NXT Europe going forward, with him seemingly taking over the previous roles of Triple H, who has of course moved on to main roster creative duties. Next up, we have an update on the contract of a new AEW signing. Last week at AEW Dynamite Grand Slam, Saraya would make her debut as she saved Toni Storm and Athena from a post-match beatdown from Britt Baker, Serena Deeb, and Jamie Hayter. Since then, fans have been awaiting confirmation of Saraya's in-ring status, this following her forced retirement in early 2018 due to neck issues. Whilst there have been reports recently stating that she hasn't been cleared, we recently covered this in a news video, with the original sources report actually saying that she hasn't been cleared as of very recently, meaning she still may have been cleared since. Saraya herself would then call for fans to ignore the speculation, a sign that she is in fact able to wrestle again in the near future. Well, in a fresh report from Fightful Select, some details of Saraya's AEW contract have been revealed, with sources believing that it implies she will indeed wrestle in an All Elite Wrestling ring. Sources familiar with the situation reveal that Saraya has signed a 3-year contract with the company, although right now it's unclear if there are any options to extend it beyond that, which is usually the case. On top of this, the salary seems to imply that Saraya will indeed return to the ring at some point, with Fightful writing, "We're told for the amount of money it was signed for, largely implies that she'll be wrestling in some capacity. We haven't been given any indication of whether or not she's been cleared, but she is set to speak on AEW Dynamite tonight." On last night's episode of Dynamite, Saraya would address the crowd for the first time, claiming she is damaged but not broken, although we still await any official confirmation of the news. For now, she seems to be playing the role of an authority figure of the AEW women's division, claiming she is the Revolution, this before adding lumberjack rules to the interim AEW women's title match before Toni Storm retained over Serena Deeb. AEW are also continuing to tease a feud and match between Saraya and Britt Baker, although we will have to wait and see when the trigger is pulled. And finally, let's look at how Hurricane Ian affected last night's episode of AEW Dynamite. Over recent days, parts of the east coast of the United States have been hit by a Category 4 storm named Hurricane Ian, most prominently affecting those residing in western Florida. The damage would hit new heights yesterday, with millions of people in the Sunshine State evacuating ahead of time to avoid danger. With many wrestlers living in Florida, this would of course affect last night's All Elite Wrestling taping, with Will Washington of Grapsody tweeting out that a few prominent prominent performers won't be present. Well, on top of this, we now have some more news on how the storm affected the show, with Fightful Select reporting 2 names that were scheduled to appear last night before plans were changed. The report notes that one half of the former AEW Tag Team Champions Swerve in Our Glory, Swerve Strickland, was originally set to appear in Philadelphia, although in the end his tag team partner Keith Lee appeared in a backstage segment alone with the Acclaimed. Another name originally set to appear was ROH Television Champion Samoa Joe, who missed the tapings that took place in the birthplace of Ring of Honor. It's unclear what roles the 2 men would have played in the show, although Swerve and Our Glory would have seemingly continued their feud with the Acclaimed to some degree, and as for Samoa Joe, he would have perhaps been involved with his War Joe tag team partner Wardlow, although of course this isn't confirmed. And before you go, make sure you check out the 12 most obscure WWE appearances from AEW wrestlers.